All right.
Hey,
Good
we're
afternoon,
on.
everyone. We are on. Unbelievable afternoon here. Blaine's a few miles away from me. I can't wait to see him tomorrow. We had a great Unstoppable event. We have Jessica Goldman Srebnick here, but we first have to notate I am the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation. Blaine is on the board, and his wife is the founder. So we're so proud, and I just want to thank all of our community. We raised a tremendous amount of money, and still raising, by the way, but it was an extraordinary virtual event. I was just telling Blaine, Jessica, I don't know if you've done any of these virtual events, but as the chairman, it was so much easier on me than having to do a live event. But he shared with me that our founder, Cynthia, it wasn't quite as easy on her as it was on me. So I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear tomorrow night when we get together all the nuances of what it's like to be. But I don't. I know her purpose is greater than our pain. So that's wonderful.
Exactly.
Anyway, I am.
But I do know that everybody is aching to get back together. So all the virtual is wonderful, but there's nothing like face to face with a mask.
Yes, with the mask and vaccinations if you can, and socially distance whenever possible, safety. But you know what? I'm so proud of California because we're doing so well, and United States as well. So we're doing and leading the way again, which is really nice. And I say that in a non-political way. It's just really nice to be the leader in safety and health, which to me is extraordinary. So anyway. You are an extraordinary person yourself, Jessica. With street art changing, what I think is the perception for children and adults about street art, and have been with the biggest names, speaking of which, and helping you and supporting you with the biggest names at the biggest events. It sounds like my history, doesn't it, Blaine? That's what my business
it does.
The biggest names at the biggest events. But I will tell you, Michelle Obama and the Super Bowl about as big as they get.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty darn good. Well, why don't you give us a little bit of background first on how this all evolved to the point where you are working with Michelle Obama and the Super Bowl and just so many extraordinary people.
Sure. Well, I come from entrepreneurial parents. So that's to start. I was born and raised by two incredibly, big thinking, kind of visionary people. And I had the privilege of working for my father for 15 years. He started a company called Goldman Properties, and we revitalized neighborhoods. So we go into cities like Soho in the 1970s, Miami Beach in the 1980s, Center City, Philadelphia. We're now in this amazing neighborhood called Wynwood, which is really one of the epicenters in the world for street art and all things creative. And so we opened something called the Wynwood Walls, which is the largest outdoor street art museum in the world. So I've had the great pleasure of curating, being the lead curator for that project. And out of that has kind of born a lot of really creative projects. And so the Super Bowl, we worked with the NFL. That was one of our projects. So Goldman Global Arts is another company that I'm the CEO of. And Goldman Global Arts works with people like the NFL and like Michelle Obama to utilize art to share messages, to inspire people. And so we curated the face of the Super Bowl tickets and the programs, and really encouraged all things art into the Super Bowl. And as a girl who loves football, it was kind of a dream project. And then when you get called by Michelle Obama, incorporate art into the messaging of the importance of voting, that was another dream project. And so we asked 13 artists from all parts of the United States, men, women, Black, white, everything, to provide us an art piece. And then we worked with the NBA and utilized screens that, were not being used at the time because there were no games happening and no concerts, and use those as art canvases. And I believe that anything can be a canvas for art. So those were two super exciting projects, and we have more in the works. And we just want to make the world more beautiful, more interesting, more inclusive, and more hopeful, because that's what we need coming out of 2020.
I'm struck by your choice of the word beauty there. Beautiful, make it more beautiful. And there's a whole philosophical structure that says, and this portion of this show, this episode, is formally the soul of business, office hours. And one of the things that we talk about is beauty is the expression of the soul. So from a business perspective, when the soul is being expressed, the business is beautiful. When leadership is being expressed in a beautiful way, you're tapping into the soul of leadership. And art is, I'm interested from your perspective here. As curriculums in schools have been cut back because of budgetary, all kinds of different things, art has been inordinately impacted by that in my estimation. So how is your project, how do you see this, and how do you see your work at Goldman's actually affecting the way that art is appreciated for what it can evoke?
So I think public art is critical to mental health. I think it is critical to the way in which we view the world and the way that we think. And art is universal. Art, you don't need a certain language, you don't need a certain education to love and appreciate and admire art. And artists really have a way of kind of marking a moment in time, and doing so in a really creative, dynamic, kind of unusual way. And I think that business and purpose don't have to be separate. Business can envelop, can embrace purpose, and you can be super successful. If you have purpose, my dad always said, do things that you're really passionate about. And if you're really passionate about, you'll make money along the way. And don't worry about how you're going to get there. Just reach for the stars. And so, I look at buildings as a canvas. I look at, really everything as a canvas. And if we can incorporate more art into architecture, into buildings, into the schools, then it gives people an opportunity to think differently. And if you kind of create creative spaces, that's when creative ideas happen. If you're sitting in a room that's like, there's nothing there, white walls, not that interesting. Cookie cutter is not that interesting. What's interesting is, what's behind me, vibrant, passionate, colorful, textural. So I think that public art is a way for people to approach it. It's not intimidating. A lot of people are intimidated by going into a gallery or going into a museum. If it's on the wall, it's not intimidating. You can walk up to it. And obviously now with social media and everybody has a camera in their hand at all times, they can broadcast where they are, to all parts of the world. Like, that's pretty amazing. And art really captures and amplifies the kind of the essence of a moment. And I think if you go back and you look at what we've all been through, and everyone's had their own journey in the last year and a half. And it's been a real struggle for many, many people. I think art gives hope to people. And I think there are a lot of ways to kind of approach that and address it. And you can be 5 years old or you can be 85 years old. It doesn't matter.
What's so interesting is that with technology, we can amplify, modify, perpetuate content, art specifically, in a whole bunch of different ways. We can monetize it through NFTs and other things that can utilize for a charitable purpose. But one of the effects, as I think Blaine was touching on, is that, I utilize art in science fiction because I feel that for the first time in history, technology has surpassed our imagination, that we have to really step it up when it comes to utilizing our imaginations, our creativity, our curiosity, to catch up to what the capabilities of technology are, and the size, scope, and scale, the reach of the technology, and the unbelievable strength and capabilities that stand there. Do you see that your projects help to not only stimulate that creativity to catch up and complement and be synergistic to the technology, but also provide another platform as a source of funds, either for your projects in a private capacity or publicly, to raise money to support the arts and support this expression of genius that we're all blessed with.
Yeah, I think that 2020 kind of was a year of reflection, and 2021 is a year of the decision. And it's given me, I am wholeheartedly a believer that, 2021 is the year of the decision, and big decisions to not be afraid of, and life decisions. Where am I going to live? What projects do I want to work on? Who do I want to work with? How do I want to spend my time? That's what I think that we've come to. And I think that, it's given us an opportunity in Goldman Properties and in Goldman Global Arts to really look at what the pain points have been over the past years, and how can we adjust? How can we improve on those pain points? And I think technology is a really, really important component. It gives us a lot of flexibility. It gives us access to data in a way that we've never had before. It gives us access to communicate in a way we never have before in real time. We can share, images of an artist be on an 8-story building, painting on a scaffolding, and you can feel what it's like by sitting on your couch, because we have, because we're documenting all of that. And so, one of the projects I'm very excited about working on is the idea of a docuseries, so that you can have a really true understanding of what it is to be a street artist, talk about the language of street art and the drama of street art and the passion behind street art and the people behind street art. And so I think technology, like, the world is moving really fast. It's moving really, really fast. And, no one talked about NFTs 2 months ago, right? And now everybody's talking about NFTs, and some things, the question between 2020 and 2021 is what's going to stick and what's not going to stick. And I think that that's going to be a really important thing to think about in our businesses, in our lives, and, remote working. Your program is called Office Hours. I'm sure for the last year, your office hours have been in home offices. Mm-hmm. You never would have imagined that, 2 years ago. So, I think there's going to be hybrid approaches to all of these things and all these decisions. But, I think the idea is that you have to do your own research. You have to listen to your own heart and your own mind, and be really confident in your own decisions and not be afraid of making mistakes. Because when you make the mistakes, that's when you learn the most. And then you pick yourself up, and you keep going.
We nailed it. What and where can people find you? I know the Wynwood Project. I have GoldmanGlobalArts.com. Where else can they find you personally? Or
they can find me on Instagram on at Jessica Goldman Srebnick. And GoldmanProperties.com. But Instagram is my favorite place. That's my morning coffee. So
I love it.
If you want to find me there, it's at Jessica Goldman Srebnick.
Well, DM me for sure. I hang out there once in a while as well. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you, and
really nice
for everything you do. Come back and visit us.
Thank you so much. Really a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Very cool. We need more people like Jessica. That's all I got to say.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. One of the things, the street art, it starts a conversation. This is one of the things that she is kind of speaking to in one sense here is, street. And I love street art because it's evocative. It does start a conversation. And in conversations, things start to emerge that, we can begin to work with in different ways. And it's stimulating. It's not, like she said, cookie cutter.
That's why I like hanging out with you, because you evoke conversation and enlightenment for me. But I'm about to introduce you to greatness. I get so many different people in my life, and every once in a while, one of them completely resonates with me, just lifts my spirit, evokes my curiosity. But Patrick Combs, he is an extraordinary person with an extraordinary purpose, and his purpose is purpose, in my opinion. wait till you get a feel for what's going on with Patrick. And released a new book in January. I have the book. I read the book. It changed my life because I believe in the purpose code and what it does. And I've planted purpose seeds in my backyard waiting for them to harvest themselves. So,
purpose seed. There you go. It's a big seed.
Purpose clarity coach, entrepreneur, author, Bliss champion himself. There it is. This is so cool. So, Patrick, let's start with the seeds of purpose in a real literal sense of what that was, and then also in the theoretical sense of seeds of purpose and how they grow within us.
Well, let me say hello first to you and Blaine. David, I think the mark of I don't know whether it's either my favorite human being or a purpose or a person who has really found a deep satisfaction and fulfillment in themselves, some kind of deep fulfillment in life, is the ability to celebrate others. And that's all I ever see you do. Is celebrate the people in front of you and amplify them. And so thank you for that. I mean, your introduction was kind and generous, and it was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. It's so cool because I told my mom just recently, it was her birthday this week, and she said something similar about me. She said, what's so interesting? You dreamed of being a celebrity and you became a celebrant. You celebrate and she said, I'm so much more proud of you for being a celebrant than a celebrity. It suits you well. And I thought, what a great compliment for her birthday to tell me I'm a celebrant. So I do my best to elevate others, especially special people like you. But anyway, let's talk purpose, because you kill it, my friend. Book kills it. I love it. It's so cool, Blaine. I'm like a little kid at candy, so I can for Blaine to hear what you do.
Well, to answer your question, these seeds are something somebody invented. A professor invented them decades ago, but he had invented them with just a smattering of words like happy or happy birthday, and nothing, no problem with that. But he had only invented a few. And I saw these. What they do is you plant them, and see, this one says spirit on it. On the outside, and then when it grows, spirit is written on the leaf, and then it's magic. I had this guy once when I gave a talk, and I said that. I said, "You guys, come up and get one afterwards." And I
made him send them to me. I'm doing a video on it.
I got to get some of those.
I'm going to send you one, Blaine, and I'm going to figure out what word might be just perfect for you. Because what I went and custom ordered 100 different words that I'm in love with, all inspired words. And then I've been giving them out to audiences for years. But guys, I gave one out to this at the University of Pennsylvania once. And this is an honest story. This guy comes up to me afterwards, 19-year-old, and he goes, "Oh, dude, I get it. You're saying I'll see it when I believe it." And I was like, "Nope, I was just saying you'll see it when it grows." But I like that thinking. I like that thinking, my man.
That's so cool.
Both of them are true.
That is beautiful.
Guys, thank you for receiving the book, Dave. Wrote the book because our company helps entrepreneurs reinvent themselves without having to risk everything, go it alone, and feel they have no map, because reinvention is a frightening but vital territory. And we just sort of figured out that the sweet spot we really wanted to serve people in are those who end up feeling really alone, to be honest, because they've often become very successful by all of society's standards, but they are locked in this loneliness that can come with bouts of depression and anxiety, because they're taking care of so many people, so many employees. They, quote, have it all. But when they look out at passionate people who are totally alive and who are living in alignment with their soul, they feel locked out. And they don't even feel like it's okay with all their success to say, how do I get what that person's having?
Yeah.
But everybody on the planet deserves it. But that's who we really try and speak to directly.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of the execs that I work with, one of the questions, sometimes is asked, sometimes it's just implied, is your wallet fuller than your life? And for a lot of these guys, that is. Their wallet is fuller than their life. And it's usually guys. And they bought in hook, line, and sinker into the story and looked up one day and they're 50 years old and going, something's missing. That spark, that juice isn't there anymore. And aliveness is a consequence of soul speaking, being able to tap into that.
Blaine, I'm sure I'm going to say something that Joseph Campbell, when he took a look at the hero's journey, I thought one of his most profound conclusions was he said, it turns out that the hero isn't after treasure.
Right.
He said, the hero is after aliveness.
Aliveness. Yep.
That's the greatest reward when we align with our purpose. That's our soul's deepest thirst is for a feeling of really being alive. But I would add to it and say it's really being alive to our gifts and talents, the ones that somehow seem connected to the soul. That once you align with them, you say, this is what I was supposed to be doing. This is the greatest version of me. And, my favorite byproduct of it, besides what sages have been telling us for thousands of years, besides entering into what all of them describe is a world that conspires to co-create with you, what I call a magical realm sitting right next door through the door of following your bliss. One that does not seem so mechanical and so against you and so uphill and so isolating, but rather seems supportive and loving and energized and creative. Besides entering into that magical world, it is the biggest paycheck and the deepest fulfillment a human being finds, and one that unlocks the heart into a profoundly loving state.
And Patrick, I've been dying to have you back on so I can ask you about this, because born into some sort of quantum pursuit of my own, born as a toptimist, as a happy, blissful human being who was purpose-driven, I found a different experience in repurposing. In that, when you grow up in a certain environment, you may have limited your quantum beliefs and limited who you thought you were supposed to be, and following that bliss and creating that purpose. And then to achieve, that bliss and that purpose, only to find that you haven't been taught how to repurpose when you've set your sights too low, or you surrounded yourself with the wrong people, the wrong ideas, and you've created a reality and found out that, wow, I've been purpose driven for this long, and now I have everything I ever dreamed of. This can't be it. And I see in my experience, a lot of people not understanding whether it's at the end of their careers, retiring instead of repurposing, or people who have achieved in athletics or entertainment or the arts or in business at a young age, the inability to repurpose. And, how do you, step by step, as you do in your programs, help somebody repurpose that already knows how to pursue a purpose, but now finds themselves lost, empty, and a full wallet, but an empty soul?
Yeah, fantastic question, and exactly what we find with those that we serve. There are three big things that are primarily usually the obstacles in the way. And one is feeling like they truly, truly don't have enough time. So these are incredibly busy, responsible people with very big lives who will swear to you they don't have enough time. And so we have to re-educate them to show them it is not about having more time. It is about repurposing your time so that you experience more time freedom and greater joy. Yep. And then the other thing we educate people about on time, and they discover viscerally for themselves, is when you don't feel you have enough time to move into your, what we call your bliss or your purpose, it's because you don't know what your bliss or purpose is yet. Because the second you know what your bliss or purpose is. It is a lightning bolt through your being. It is like falling in love with a woman. You didn't have time to date before then, and then boom, you got all the time in the world. So the doors of time, literally everything that's unimportant suddenly gets pushed aside, and now you're living a life of priorities that matter, that bring you joy and give your greatest gifts. So we have to obliterate that first objection, which is, look, you don't understand. I don't have time. Or like, so that's everybody's starting point, right, David?
Yep.
The second one is they're very aware of the risk of moving from what has served them, loaded up their wallet, as Blaine said, built the home that they live in, right? There might be a plaque on their door that says, the house my current company built, right? So when you're suggesting, hey, move in, repurpose, as you say, right? When you're suggesting that, the primary obstacle that comes up for them is they say, you're telling me to start over?
Yeah.
And then what comes up in their mind is how much effort and dedication and sacrifice it took them to build this one. So they think, I can't start over. Like, I can't start over. You don't understand how long I've been in the game. So the key insight there is saying it's not about starting over. It is about a new beginning where you're now going to leverage your best self, the one that has never actually been put into play, with the experience and wisdom that you acquired from doing that. And you're going to get to leverage that thing you currently built. You don't have to throw it away. You're going to repurpose that too to serve your primary gift.
Wow,
that makes sense.
I love that.
Yeah,
most people come into it with an and or with an or mindset.
Or.
Yeah, with an either or mindset.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is they really think that that little fantasy blissful calling they have, David, they think it's probably worthless.
Yeah.
They think it might be a very bad, misguided, crazy midlife bad idea.
Well, they were told to stop daydreaming when they were young, and daydreaming is the play of the imagination. And it's interesting. You call the work, it's blisspreneur, blisspreneurs.
Yeah,
blisspreneurs.
Yeah.
And that phrase just it's evocative. It's an interesting pattern interrupt, because you're just a blisspreneur. Okay, what do you mean? Yeah.
It means when you elevate above entrepreneur, like you have figured out how to actually be an accomplished, successful entrepreneur. And so you say, well, what's after being an accomplished, successful entrepreneur? Being blissfully entrepreneurial. Saying, I don't just have a company. I don't just like my company. My company is an expression of my greatest joy. My company enables my greatest gifts and rewards me with great joys. And that is what most people have not been told is possible or shown how is possible.
Yep.
But you show me a leader that is leading from their bliss, and I'll show you a company full of employees that are being encouraged to become them best selves.
Mm-hmm. That is the purpose of business. It's the purpose of business is to uplift the experience of being alive on this planet. That's the purpose.
Uplift is one of my very favorite words. It was my first email address.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very important word here in Newport Beach as well, but probably for a different meaning. Just real quick, because I have to touch on this because it's such an honor and privilege to get enlightened. You use the word the courage to repurpose, and for your own self, that you have made millions of dollars in this repurposing of yourself and being a blisspreneur as an example to yourself and then to others. Is the courage, number one, the courage to counteract your fear, or is the courage, moreover, to not listen to the laughs, the scoffs, the other people of what they think when you have that plaque on your door built by, Caterpillar, and you have the pension and you have the prestige and the title and the employees. And then all of a sudden you say, no, you know what? I'm going to start an organic tequila company. That's really what my passion is. and everyone laughs at you and says no, or like I remember my mom when I graduated law school, the internet's a fad, don't get involved in it, be a real lawyer, Dave. Where's the courage lie? Is it internally to be courageous, or is it really just our ego counteracting what other people will think?
Wow, I hope this is the closing question, because this one is probably the
I'd be
nearest.
here all day if I didn't ask that.
This is the nearest and dearest to my life experience. This is the one I have gone out and tested and learned and found my way with the deepest and the most. This is visceral knowing for me. And, I've made many major reinventions in my life, and I finally learned to not be afraid of them. So the key was I recognized that my old self used to do reinventions with courage, which meant I was fearful of the change because I was hallucinating about bad things that could happen. I was imagining the bad things that could happen. And what I learned to do in my life, instead of fearing the bad things that would happen, I began being faithful that good things would happen. And being faithful that good things would happen actually eliminated the fear. I am certain now that when I move into something, good things happen that exceed my greatest hopes. And so I don't even move into endeavors with fear, which is another buoy to the whole system. It speeds the system, it speeds the magic. Wow. But that's real. That's not airy fairy. That's real. And people for thousands of years have been trying to tell us that.
And your journey is one of, you're so happy where you're at. You're utilizing, as I say, the law of Goya, getting off your ass and angling towards what you want. But very few people, and I've worked very hard at it as well, to have the faith I'm going to end up somewhere better. And that, when I see the mistakes, the failures, the setbacks, the pain, I get excited. Those are big doors for me, because I have so much faith that I'm going to end up somewhere better. And those are indicators that I'm on the right track, that I'm pushing and learning and scaling. So
we can be stuck in fear, but equally so, we can be stuck in faith. And I would just invite people to be stuck in faith. I'm stuck in faith. I'm just stuck believing that great things are going to happen, and watch what happens. Like, go out and become the evidence that it works just as good as fear. Fear brings about bad results, and faith brings about good ones. So
it works better.
It does. Yeah, we're making it all up anyway, so let's make up something that works.
We're making it all up anyway.
We're making it all up anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you for planting. Thank you for planting seeds under trees that we may never sit under. And I have put special words and seeds in my heart, in my mind, in my soul. Every time I read your stuff, I listen to your stuff, I watch your stuff, or especially when I have you live here. And I'm so glad you got to meet my mentor, Blaine Bartlett, because I know he's super aligned with what you're doing. So,
there's an essence thing, right? You can read essence really quickly. Yeah. And this is the expert human being that I want to meet. So I sense it deeply. Wow. What an honor and privilege.
Thank you.
Let's get connected.
Thank you both.
Where are you physically located, Patrick? Just out of curiosity.
In my body.
One for Patrick.
Encinitas.
Encinitas.
But may I say how many that it took a decade of practice based on Eckhart Tolle's profound teachings to figure out that's where I'm physically located. I was all over the place before.
All over the place. Yep. It's
and
good
rarely physically located here.
That's right.
I love it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Beautiful. What a great way to end. Thanks, you, Patrick.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. He pulled the Blaine on you right there.
He did. Beautiful. That was perfect. I love it.
All right. Well, we got a couple guys that want to ask some questions of us. So this is a great way to finish up. We just on fire today. Well, we don't call it learn.bliss.com/LMM. This is the Mindset Mastermind portion with Matt McCormick, the double M, which is a favorite of my heart. All my kids are M&Ms, like you, Matt. Well, Matt, give me a little bit of background and then give us your question. We'd be happy to help you.
Great. Thanks so much. And this is a real treat for me. And actually, after listening to Patrick, I feel like going to do 100 push-ups. But I am unfortunately the face of a B2B platform company that's been was launched about 3 years ago. And my question to you guys it's called SkillSetz. And it actually, it's a B2B platform that puts together businesses with knowledge workers. And one of the reasons why the questions I wanted to ask you was kind of relates to something you guys said in episode 169. It was about a month ago. And the two of you were just riffing about your consulting careers. And you were talking about the portability. I watched a bunch of episodes. I forget what the subject at the time was, but the two of you were talking about your consulting careers, and then you were talking about the portability of your practices over the years. Two, you were joking about the recession-proof piece of it, right? And then this further idea of like work from anywhere, and that's kind of where I want to start my question. So I kind of draw a straight line between consulting and what Pete Drucker used to call the knowledge workers, right? So there's the consulting premises that you have an expertise in something, right? But full-time employees have that, individuals have that, right? So Pete Drucker was the first one I think who really called out that, hey, the individual has that kind of knowledge, that knowledge worker, that is their value. And so my question is like, do we have a new basis of the bargain now, right? If you think about like what happened 12 months ago, right? If I'm an employee or an employer, the old premise was I hire you to do a job, and the primary assumption is proximity. You're going to be here, right? And there's always been that uphill battle, right, about remote collaboration. Who needs to be here, who not? And so when I was watching that episode like a month ago, I was like, you kind of nailed it when you kind of framed it that way. So my question to you again is really like, is this a broader implication? And by that, I mean, if I'm an employer, I have loaded employee costs. I have environmental risks now that I need to consider when I'm evaluating what people do for me. If I'm a knowledge worker, am I going to go and live where I want to work, or am I going to work from where I want to live? And I think when you guys were talking about that, I was like, oh, that's the string I want to pull on when I get my shot up at the mic. So there you have it. That's my question to you, and I hope that you guys agree with me anyway that certainly the future of knowledge work, platforms, the way businesses engage with external resources, that all of that has fundamentally changed forever. And I didn't make a bad bet when we started building this company 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm all over that with you, Matt. Honestly, I think Jessica mentioned something about 2021 being the year of decision, and I think one of the decisions is organized around just exactly this thing that you're speaking to. Yeah, I want to work from where I live, and
where you want to live,
where I want to live. Yeah, absolutely, where I want to live. I mean, we had on the foundation's live cast yesterday during the celebration of courage, Lisa Nichols, and she came in from the Bahamas. And why the Bahamas? Because she loves living in the Bahamas. I live up on Whidbey Island, and I love living on Whidbey Island. I can work anywhere from Whidbey Island. We've got a studio up there that we're working with, and what makes that work is the knowledge that I bring to the table. Okay, yes. I'm not working with my hands per se. I don't need to be in a shop. I don't need to be at an operating table or that sort of thing. It's my knowledge, and I can bring that in a number of different ways. And with the advent of VR, I mean, there are some very interesting plays beginning with virtual reality structures. Not the least of which is in the medical area. With virtual operating rooms and some stuff. But this whole notion of knowledge worker freeing. All of a sudden, I become less of a commodity and a true resource as a worker.
And I think something, it's interesting. So I don't think most people realize this, right? So the professional services, the total addressable market just in the US alone is a little over $1 trillion. If you look back out legal and accounting. And then if you take out like the top 300 consulting firms, take out the top 300, there's still, 500,000 SMB and small firms, professional services firms out there competing on an annual basis for roughly $600-700 billion a year. And how does that whole commercial development relationship work now? And if you're, again, I spent almost 20 years in enterprise procurement. So that's my background. So I come at this from top down, companies that spend tens, if not hundreds of millions a year on professional services.
Yep.
And you guys know this. How often is half the team, if not more, not even their people? How often, do they pull some kid right out of B school, God love him, and he's clipping along at 10, 15K a week because of the logo that's slapped on his business card? And, I just think in this new world that we're moving into, and, businesses need to adapt, and everyone's talking about digital transformation. I guess to me, the big question is, we had the biggest UAT, test ever a year ago, right? The 5-decade long debate about whether an employee needs to be here or not be here. The whole globe got forced into a UAT test, and guess what? Everybody passed.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Let me finish real quick, because I have Ajit in the waiting room. I think this is an either or question as well. We're blessed that it can be both, and I think the key indicator to me is that we thought that engagement was produced by proximity. Yeah. And Blaine has been teaching me over the last decade that productivity and engagement are so far down because of proximity, because we have so many distractions when we're in proximity of others, of distractions, of meetings to have meetings, that we're able now, because of this period of time, this 2020, a period of reflection, to realize, what? I like to have the option of doing both. I like to be able to have proximity when I want, and I like to be able to be productive in the alignment of my own personal situation. One person in the Bahama, one in Whidbey Island. I'm in my closet, right? I'm probably number one of the few husbands in the world that went back into the closet, and two, really enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yes.
Yeah, and I'm very productive in my closet. I'm in fact going to probably produce these multi-purpose closets for people that have all kinds of things in it. But I think it's important to realize both. And I've learned from Blaine, productivity and engagement are not relative to proximity. And I have had some of the most traditional Fortune 500 CEOs that before the pandemic would have told you there's no way that I'm having employees work remote, especially executives, to at least, hey, I'm going to give everybody an option, or at certain times it's better. And, I think Blaine had told me 93% of the people are not engaged in their work.
Not engaged. Yeah. 87%. 87%.
Imagine
87%.
Look, I'm telling you, between the advancement that we've made in protecting Americans right now in the health aspect, and our technology and our ability to work remotely, we are pulling ahead of the rest of the world. Besides into ourselves, I think we have sustained, this great growth that we've had, but I think we've now put a foundation into place that we don't even realize the potential of world on us, because we've been the first to really invest into all of these different things, not only our health so that we can do this, but now we really, because we're healthy, we can maximize the remote engagement and the proximity engagement as we see fit. And we're going to blow competitively the rest of the world away. I truly believe that.
And I would say on top of that, I would take it one step further, which is, I think a lot of the tech you're seeing here in the US actually, supports that. I mean, we could not have done what we did with SkillSetz 5 years ago.
Right.
So you have that combination of like increased productivity, right? And then you also add that like plug and play hybrid cloud technologies. It's so much quicker to start a company or to create new solutions. So I think you're right. I think we are in for an age of significant productivity. But I did want to get back to you guys on that, because I know you guys are some old school consultants. So who better to ask than you guys about that, right? But I know you got someone in the pipe, right?
Yeah, come back and visit us.
Matt, come back. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
check
Appreciate
out
you guys, man.
SkillSetz with a Z, skillsets.com with a Z. Check them out. Thanks so much.
Appreciate
Matt.
you guys, man. Take
You
care.
got
There
it.
you go.
Take care.
Thanks, Matt.
Woo!
Great question. Great question. I love it.
We got great guests today. All right, 5 minutes with Ajit.
Ajit.
I know you are just dying as well. Ajit, what a great
Hey.
background you have. What question do you have for us, my friend?
Hey, David. Hey, Blaine. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
So I'll give you a little bit of background on myself and then ask the question, but I'll give you the question at the front. So the question really is, I want to test my hypothesis of what I want to do with you and see if you can see any blind spots, because I'm new to being an entrepreneur. You guys have been doing this for a while, so you can probably easily tell. I've been in the Valley for the last 10 years, actually 12 years. I've been working here for the last 10 as a product marketer in different Silicon Valley startups. So this is my fifth startup now, and I've mostly been a product marketer. So what my core skill set is taking complex technologies and then explaining the value to a layperson, explaining the value to our buyers and prospects, and establishing the positioning in their mind of something that may be very technical and very hard to understand. As I've done that, what recently I've found out a problem area in this kind of Valley ecosystem, which is most product companies start from like a technology first standpoint rather than a market first standpoint. And when they actually start to value or price their solution, they kind of just make a guess. They're like, okay, this is it. It's $10, $50. Let's just start the business and we'll figure it out from there. What I've often seen is that leaves a lot of money on the table. And when these companies want to start an IPO, they have significant trouble because the model is broken. That causes sales efficiency issues and a lot of other things. And I learned a lot of pricing, and with the skill set of product marketing and pricing, I've been able to build a lot of authoritative knowledge that is different from what consultants bring to the table. And that's different from what other companies are offering today. I just published my book on this, so let me just show you quickly. This is the book, Price to Scale. So it's practical pricing for high growth SaaS startups. Basically, my goal is to build, solve this problem for startups across the globe, for SaaS startups specifically. And directions I'm thinking of taking is either start from a media first standpoint and build a media sort of, a content engine that talks about the right way to do things, the pitfalls, the truths of pricing, or a more traditional consultancy way of doing it and approaching companies directly and saying, hey, this is what I offer. I'd like to solve this problem for you. But with the eventual goal being, I can actually see a endpoint of owning this market, of solving the pricing problem and maximizing the value that these companies are capturing for the market. So that's the summary of my question. I'm just wanted to test this hypothesis with you, see how that sounds to you, and what gaps do you find in there?
I'll go first. Then
Yeah.
Ajit, first of all, I think the answer is both as far as the direction that you take, for sure, because one will feed the other. But I will tell you, the greater opportunity is to build a platform, a community, to be the expert of that community. It'll never be, as you know, from being in the Valley for the last 12 years and working in the Valley for 10 years, that it will never be as easy as it is today in order to build a brand for you, yourself, your product, solution, or service. And the way that we do that is to capture, amplify, modify, and perpetuate the content specific to your frequency. What I love about the opportunity is that most people go too broad and they try to please everyone and they try to address a 4.6 million person opportunity when all they need is 0.001% of that opportunity to build a community within, which then will refer out your services to an ever-growing space, an ever-growing opportunity. So I would take the duality approach. I'd use your personal asset and relationships you build over the last 12 years to start your consultancy business while you capture what you're doing with those clients, as well as your book, speaking, panels, content with your cell phone, posting more than you've ever dreamed of to build your community. And then through that community, more and more opportunities will exponentially gather and grow. But you are on a path that I'm very encouraged by, very excited about. And if you want my help, I mean, that's my expertise, is building that brand on both the digital and traditional side in order to effectuate a business by teaching very simple ways to get free content out there and greater expansion through asking. So, please reach out to me afterwards. Blaine, anything to add?
Yeah, I would amplify what David said about both focuses are absolutely, I think, crucial to leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, there's a narrative that I think can be really fine-tuned in terms of not the features, not the advantages of your platform, but what's the true benefit.
Right.
And this goes to the distinction there of enabling a seamless post-purchase experience. That it's all relationships. So why should I, as a potential client of yours, pay attention and understand why it's so important to pay attention to the relationship that I have with my customers? They've already bought from me. Yeah. Why should I care about it any longer? Well, because yeah. So being able to, and you can use both channels for this, but being able to actually develop a compelling narrative that is easy for people to see themselves in and go, boy, if I can crack the code on that, life is going to be good.
Yeah, makes sense. If we have time, I would love to ask just a follow-on double-click.
Ask the question real quick. I got 1 minute, and for two reasons, we have to finish up in two. My battery may die. So
sounds good. On the question of building the community, David, do you think for an initiative like this, is getting capital, is that going to be important, or do you think this is more of a bootstrapped kind of initiative?
I suggest people bootstrap until it's economically effective to raise money. And we do that by understanding the time value of money. And so right now, I would say bootstrapping seems to be a better use of time value of money. But as you expand and see the opportunity, prove the opportunity, can articulate the quantifiable value of the opportunity, you'll find a point of inflection where it's more valuable to take someone else's money than to bootstrap because of the expansion value. But I can help you with that as well. So can Blaine. Please reach out to us. We appreciate you coming on. Last thing, real quick, where can people reach you, Ajit?
We can find me on LinkedIn at you just search Ajit Ghuman or search for SaaS pricing on Amazon, and this book will pop up.
I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Great question.
Great guests today. Great questions today.
Yeah.
All right. This is a tough question for you. What's the takeaway for today?
Oh, the takeaway for today. I'm just really intrigued with a plant that has a message on its leaf. I mean, that has so captured my attention and curiosity, because there's and that would be the takeaway. Just kind of how does the soul express itself? Because I mean, it's in the seed. It's in the seed, and it becomes expressed, and all of a sudden, it's identifiable. So that whole conversation around bliss, I absolutely loved it.
I agree. I mean, that's so beautiful, and I've lived it, and that's why I wanted Patrick back on, because your face is priceless, but that's what my face looked like. I'm like, wait a second, Patrick, you got to send that out. Mine's real simple, and I want to thank all the guests, but what blew me away as a takeaway was 2020 is a year of reflection. 2021 is a year of decisions. And I see that with the Unstoppable Foundation. I see that in my own businesses, my own brand, and the people that have surrounded myself, that, what a great blessing the reflection is, but what a waste if we don't make decisions aligned with the reflections and take action accordingly. And so that's my takeaway. I get to see you tomorrow. I will speak to you and your wife tonight to make final logistical plans. She has texted me right before here. I am so excited for the foundation and so proud to be the chairman of Unstoppable, and so grateful to have you and Cynthia leading the way, changing so many lives. And most importantly, I want to thank our community, Blaine, for stepping up, really stepping up.
Absolutely.
And great generosity, all the private rooms, the VIP, the tickets sold, and the donations made. Every dollar is appreciated, and every one of you is appreciated for everything that you do to support us and to bring more people into helping others to help others, simply to be happy. Blaine, you make me happy, my friend. I will see you tomorrow. I can't wait to be evoked into some genius.
And I just want to do a real quick moment here to acknowledge you, David. I truly, you are I mean, the word mensch comes to mind in a very, very specific way with you. There's, the resources that you make available, the idea of time. I mean, you have time in abundance to devote to what you're passionate about. And fortunately, we are part of that of that mix. And I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to thank you. I want to thank your team for the work that you do in support of the foundation. And I'm just, I love you, buddy. And
I love you. And my wife. I know,
and your wife.
Without her,
both.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to opening a bottle of tequila with you tomorrow.
I love it. Thank you so much. It'll be a warm up. It'll be a warm up for when you get down to the Bahamas. Trust me.
No kidding.
I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you,
bet.
my team. Thank you, everyone. Remember, tomorrow's training. We got Clubhouse at 6 a.m. Breakfast of Champions. I'm there every Friday, 6 a.m. We got office hours tomorrow. And most importantly, mindset. What's the right mindset training for tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific? And I am so grateful to be here. So grateful. David@dmeltzer.com if you need anything. Remember, most importantly, if you can't take this away, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. I love everybody. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Blaine. Welcome to Office Hours. I'm Dave Meltzer, author, speaker, entrepreneur. Office Hours is a show with entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And we're going to dive deep into the mindset of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, how to start, how to scale, and how to exit. We're going to talk to the celebrities, the athletes, the entertainers, the billionaires, all who want to be or are entrepreneurs. And we're going to find out what it takes to have that desire that you must be what you can be, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And we're going to get inside the mindset of the entrepreneur.
You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together.
We can handle hard, but it's long that bothers us. I really encourage every entrepreneur to think hard and smart, but I really give a lot of weight to an entrepreneur that works long.
I don't want to be exclusive. I don't want to create a product that's only for one person. I want it to be for everyone.
I think the beauty of a values-based approach to business is that it sets a compass in place that you can follow, whether you're dealing with a COVID, a pandemic, an economy, social unrest, or a roaring economy.
The best investment you have to make is to bet on yourself. And that's exactly what you're saying. And that's emotionally, that could be monetarily, that could be time. There's so many different, that could be giving.
The one consistent thing about them and everybody here is that just like every good house, they've got a strong foundation of core values and work ethic, right? Every last one of them spoke about the things that shaped them, and they still implement those things no matter when they jump from here to here to here, they're still doing the same things that got them to the first place.
I still remember when we bought YouTube, and it seemed like we're going to pay billions of dollars for this company that has no revenue and not even a plan to get revenue. But now it's a key part of the Alphabet strategy.
Right, a rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what's happening here. You create that elevated frequency, that elevated energy that everyone benefits from.
If you appreciate what we all are the same, it allows us to appreciate how different we are. And I say appreciate the differences. And I think that separation that exists today is something that we all need to work on, because together we'll go far. Come join me inside the greatest minds of entrepreneurship here on Office Hours.